What happens when Hollywood royalty walks onto a talk show stage thinking they own the room, only to discover that their reputation means nothing when respect goes out the window? In just 34 seconds, one comment would turn a friendly interview into an explosive showdown that would leave the audience gasping and security rushing to the stage. This is the story of how one guest's entitlement crashed headfirst into one host's patience, and what unfolded was nothing short of television chaos. The studio lights were hot that afternoon, bathing the set in their familiar golden glow. Kelly Clarkson sat in her chair, all smiles and warmth, the way she always did. Her show had become known for its genuine conversations, the kind where guests felt like they were chatting with an old friend over coffee. Today's guest was supposed to be a big one, Meghan Markle. The name alone brought in viewers, brought in curiosity, brought in ratings. The audience was packed, every seat filled with people eager to see what would happen when these two women sat down together. Kelly had done her homework, like she always did. She had her questions ready, her notes organized, her smile genuine. She was prepared to talk about everything from life after royalty to new projects, from motherhood to finding peace. But from the moment Meghan walked onto that stage, something felt off. It was subtle at first. The way she barely acknowledged the audience's applause. The way she settled into her chair as if it were a throne. The way her smile seemed more like a mask than an expression of joy. Kelly started warm, as always. Welcome. It's so great to have you here. How are you doing today? Meghan's response was clipped, almost dismissive. I'm here, aren't I? The audience laughed nervously, unsure if it was a joke. Kelly's smile never wavered, but her eyes registered the coldness. She pushed forward, professional as ever. Well, we're thrilled you made the time. I know you've been busy with so many exciting projects. Want to tell us what you've been working on? Meghan leaned back, crossing her legs with deliberate slowness. You know, Kelly, I'm working on things that actually matter. Things that make a difference in the world. Not everyone can say that about their work. Kelly blinked, her smile tightening just a fraction. Well, that's wonderful. Making a difference is so important. Can you tell us more specifically about what you're doing? Meghan waved her hand dismissively. I'm not sure the details would interest your audience. They're quite complex. Requires a certain level of understanding, you know? The air in the studio shifted. You could feel it. The audience members glanced at each other. The crew exchanged looks. Kelly, however, remained composed. She had interviewed difficult guests before. She knew how to navigate choppy waters. Well, I think our audience is pretty smart. They might surprise you. But let's talk about something else. You've been pretty vocal about privacy. How do you balance that with being in the public eye? Meghan's expression hardened. Privacy is a right, Kelly. Something I shouldn't have to explain to someone with a platform. You of all people should understand that the media can be invasive, cruel even. Though I suppose some people court that attention, don't they? Kelly's eyebrows raised slightly. I think everyone in this business deals with attention in different ways. We all have our boundaries. Some boundaries are clearer than others, Meghan shot back, her tone sharp. Some people will do anything for a headline. Dance like a puppet if it means staying relevant. The tension was thick now, almost suffocating. Kelly's smile had faded into something more serious, more guarded. I'm not sure I understand what you're implying. Meghan leaned forward, her eyes cold. I'm not implying anything. I'm saying it directly. You built your career on being relatable, didn't you? The girl next door who can sing. But let's be honest. How much of that is real and how much is just good marketing? The audience gasped. Actual gasps rippled through the crowd. Kelly sat up straighter, her professional mask slipping for just a moment to reveal genuine shock. Excuse me? Meghan didn't back down. If anything, she seemed energized by the reaction. Oh, come on. Don't act surprised. This whole show, this whole persona, it's calculated. You want to talk about authenticity? Let's talk about how you've made millions playing the sweetheart, while never actually taking a real stand on anything that matters. Kelly's voice remained steady, but there was steel in it now. This is my show. I've built this platform on respect, on real conversations. I've taken stands on plenty of issues. I just don't feel the need to announce every opinion I have like it's breaking news. Meghan laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's convenient. Stay quiet. Stay safe. Stay profitable. Must be nice not having to deal with real consequences for speaking your truth. Speaking your truth and attacking someone on their own show are two very different things, Kelly replied, her voice calm but firm. I invited you here as a guest. I prepared questions to have a genuine conversation. What you're doing right now isn't truth-telling. It's just rude. Meghan's face flushed red. Rude? You want to talk about rude? How about bringing someone on your show and asking them invasive questions? How about profiting off other people's trauma? Kelly shook her head slowly. I haven't asked you anything invasive. I asked you about your work. I asked you about privacy, which you've spoken about publicly many times. Those aren't gotcha questions. They're conversation starters. Maybe to you, Meghan snapped, but you don't know what it's like to have your entire life scrutinized, to have people judge every single thing you do, every word you say. You don't know what real pressure feels like. Kelly's expression hardened. Actually, I do. I was on American Idol when I was barely 20 years old. Millions of people watched me, judged me, criticized me every single week. I've had people say terrible things about my weight, my voice, my choices. I've been in this business for over 20 years, so please, don't tell me I don't understand pressure. Meghan rolled her eyes. A singing competition is not the same as being part of the royal family. But it's not even close. You're right. It's not, Kelly agreed, her voice steady. But pain is pain. Struggle is struggle. Just because your experience was different doesn't make mine invalid. And it certainly doesn't give you the right to come into my house and disrespect me. The audience was dead silent now. Every eye was locked on the stage. The cameras kept rolling, capturing every second of the unraveling interview. Meghan stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. Your house? This is a television studio, Kelly, and I'm done pretending that this conversation has any value. Kelly stood as well, matching her energy. This is my show. It has my name on it. And yes, you're right. You're done here. Because I'm not going to sit here and let you insult me, insult my work, and insult what I've built just because you're having a bad day. Meghan's eyes flashed with anger. A bad day? You have no idea what a bad day looks like for me. Every day is a battle. Every day is fighting against people who want to tear me down, who want to see me fail. At least be honest about what this is. You invited me here to boost your ratings, to get people talking. Well, congratulations, Kelly. Mission accomplished. Kelly's voice rose slightly, not quite a shout, but louder than before, commanding. I invited you here to have a conversation. A real one. I didn't invite you here to be attacked. I didn't invite you here to have my character questioned. And I certainly didn't invite you here to be treated like I'm beneath you. Beneath me. Meghan's voice was shrill now. You're the one who's been condescending this entire time with your fake nice act. Your whole, I'm just a regular person routine. It's exhausting to watch. Kelly took a deep breath, visibly trying to center herself. I'm not fake. This is who I am. I treat people with kindness because that's how I was raised. I try to make my guests feel comfortable because that's what a good host does. But I will not be disrespected in my own studio. Meghan grabbed her purse from beside the chair. Well, you won't have to worry about that anymore because I'm leaving. Kelly nodded slowly. Actually, you're not just leaving. You're being asked to leave. There's a difference. I'm asking you, right now, to exit my stage." The audience erupted. Some people gasped again. Others whispered frantically to their neighbors. Then a few even started clapping before catching themselves. Security personnel began moving toward the stage, their presence suddenly very visible. Meghan looked around, seeming to realize for the first time that this wasn't going the way she'd expected. "You're kicking me off your show?" Meghan asked, her voice a mix of disbelief and rage. "Yes," Kelly said firmly. "I am. You came here as a guest, and you've behaved terribly. You've insulted me. You've insulted my show, and you've made it clear that you have no interest in having a respectful conversation. So yes, I'm asking you to leave." Meghan's mouth opened and closed like she wanted to say something, but couldn't find the words. Finally, she managed, "This is unbelievable. Do you know who I am?" Kelly's response was calm, measured, and devastating. "I know exactly who you are. And that's why I'm so disappointed. I expected better. But clearly, I was wrong." Security was on the stage now, politely but firmly positioning themselves near Meghan. One of them spoke quietly. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us." Meghan looked at the security guards, then back at Kelly, then out at the audience. Her face was a storm of emotions: anger, embarrassment, defiance. "You're going to regret this, Kelly. You have no idea who you're dealing with." Kelly didn't flinch. "The only thing I regret is wasting everyone's time today. Please leave." Meghan started walking toward the exit, flanked by security, but she couldn't resist one more parting shot. She turned back, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. "You think you're so perfect, don't you? Little Miss America's sweetheart. But everyone has skeletons, Kelly. Everyone." Kelly's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "And when mine come out, I'll deal with them with grace and honesty, not by attacking other people. Now please, leave my studio." Meghan's face contorted with fury. She opened her mouth to respond, but seemed to think better of it. Instead, she spun on her heel and marched toward the exit, her heels clicking sharply against the floor. The security guards followed closely, making sure she actually left. The audience watched in stunned silence as she disappeared through the door that led backstage. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The silence was deafening. Then Kelly turned to face her audience, and slowly, her professional composure began to crack. Not into tears or anger, but into something like exhausted relief. She let out a long breath and shook her head slightly. "Well," she said finally, her voice carrying a hint of dark humor, "that was not how I expected this afternoon to go." The audience erupted into applause. Not polite applause, not uncertain applause, but genuine, thunderous applause. People stood up. They cheered. They whistled. Kelly looked surprised by the response, her eyes getting a little shiny. She put her hand over her heart and nodded her thanks. "Thank you," she said, when the noise died down enough for her to be heard. "Thank you. I want to apologize to all of you. You came here expecting a fun show, and instead you got, well, whatever that was." Someone in the audience shouted, "You handled it perfectly," and others echoed the sentiment. Kelly smiled, a real smile this time, tired but genuine. "I don't know about perfect," she said, "but I tried to handle it with as much grace as I could. Look, here's the thing. I believe in kindness. I believe in giving people the benefit of the doubt. I believe in treating my guests with respect, no matter who they are or what their story is. But I also believe in boundaries. I believe that respect has to go both ways. And when someone crosses a line, especially in your own home, you have every right to say, 'Enough is enough.'" The audience applauded again, and Kelly waited for them to quiet down before continuing. "I've been doing this job for a long time. I've interviewed hundreds of people, celebrities, politicians, authors, everyday heroes. And 99% of the time, it's wonderful. People are kind, they're open, they're real. But every once in a while, you get someone who seems to think that being famous or having a title means they can treat other people poorly. And that's just not okay. She paused, collecting her thoughts. The cameras were still rolling, capturing every word. I don't think I'm better than anyone. I really don't. I'm just a girl from Texas who can sing and who got really, really lucky. But I work hard. I try to be kind. I try to use my platform for good. And I refuse to let anyone make me feel small for doing that. More applause, louder this time. Kelly's eyes swept across the audience, making eye contact with people in different sections. You know what the sad part is? I genuinely wanted to have a good conversation with her. I wanted to hear her perspective. I wanted to understand her journey. But you can't have a conversation with someone who only wants to talk at you, not with you. Someone in the audience yelled, "You deserve better," and Kelly laughed, a short, surprised sound. Thank you. We all deserve better, honestly. We all deserve to be treated with basic human decency. That's not too much to ask. She walked over to her chair and sat down, the movement seeming to ground her. I want to say something about the things she said. About me being fake. About my career being calculated. About me not taking stands. Those things hurt. I'm not going to pretend they didn't. But they're also not true. Anyone who knows me, really knows me, knows that I'm exactly who I appear to be. I'm not playing a character. This is me. And if that's not enough for some people, well, I can live with that. The audience was hanging on every word. Kelly continued, her voice steady and clear. As for not taking stands, that's just false. I've spoken about mental health, about body positivity, about treating people with kindness. I've supported causes I believe in. I've used my voice when it mattered. I just don't feel the need to turn every single opinion into a press release, and I'm not going to apologize for that. She took a sip of water from the glass on the table beside her chair. Here's what I learned today. You can extend grace to someone. You can open your door to them. You can offer them a platform and kindness, and they can still choose to be unkind in return. And that's on them, not on you. You can't control how other people behave. You can only control how you respond. The crew members visible at the edges of the set were nodding. Some of them looked emotional. Kelly noticed and gave them a small smile. My team back there is amazing, by the way. They work so hard to make this show what it is, and they don't deserve to have their work disrespected either. She turned back to the audience. I hope you all know that when you come to this show, whether you're in this audience or watching at home, you're part of our family. And we treat family with respect. We treat family with love. We lift each other up. We don't tear each other down. That's what this show is about. That's what it's always been about. The applause started again, but Kelly held up her hand gently. I know this got intense. I know some of you might be uncomfortable with confrontation. I get that. I don't love it either. But sometimes you have to stand up for yourself. Sometimes you have to draw a line. And I hope that anyone watching this who's ever been made to feel small, who's ever been talked down to, who's ever been disrespected, knows that it's okay to say no. It's okay to defend yourself. It's okay to ask someone to leave your space if they're not treating you right. Someone in the front row was crying. Kelly noticed, and her expression softened. Hey, it's okay. We're okay. I'm okay. And you know what? Tomorrow we'll be back here with another guest who hopefully will actually want to have a conversation. We'll laugh, we'll talk, we'll have a good time. That's what this show is supposed to be. She stood up again, smoothing down her dress. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your support. Thank you for understanding. And thank you for reminding me that kindness still matters, even when other people choose a different path. The audience gave her a standing ovation. It went on for minutes, wave after wave of applause and cheers. Kelly stood there, hand over her heart, clearly moved by the response. When it finally died down, she spoke one more time, her voice thick with emotion. "Okay, I need to pull it together before I start full-on crying," she said with a watery laugh. "We're going to take a break. When we come back, we have an amazing musical performance lined up for you. Because after all that drama, we could all use some good music, right?" The audience laughed and applauded again. As the show cut to commercial, Kelly walked off stage, still shaking her head slightly in disbelief at what had just happened. Backstage, her team surrounded her immediately, offering water, asking if she was okay, expressing their support. Kelly hugged several of them, clearly emotional, but also clearly relieved that it was over. "Is she actually gone?" Kelly asked one of the security guards. "Yes, ma'am. We escorted her all the way out of the building. She left in her car." Kelly nodded. "Good. Thank you for handling that so professionally." Her producer approached, looking concerned. "Kelly, that was incredible. You handled that perfectly. But are you sure you want to continue with the show? We can reshoot. We can edit. We can do whatever you need." Kelly shook her head firmly. "No. We're going to air this exactly as it happened. People need to see that it's okay to stand up for yourself. They need to see that even when someone tries to tear you down, you can respond with dignity and still hold your ground." The producer smiled. "You're amazing, you know that?" Kelly laughed, wiping at her eyes. "I'm exhausted is what I am. But let's finish this show strong. We owe it to the audience." And she did. When the show came back from commercial, Kelly was composed, professional, warm. She introduced the musical act with genuine enthusiasm. She thanked the audience again. She reminded everyone to be kind to each other. And when the show finally wrapped, when the camera stopped rolling and the audience filed out, she took a moment to just breathe. The studio was quieter now, just the crew cleaning up and breaking down the set. Kelly sat in her chair one more time, looking out at the empty audience seats. It had been one of the strangest, most challenging days of her career, but she had handled it. She had stood her ground without losing her composure. She had defended herself without being cruel. She had shown that you could be kind and still have boundaries. One of her longtime crew members, a camera operator who'd been with the show since the beginning, approached her. "Hey, Kelly, that was something else today." Kelly looked up at him. "Yeah, it really was. For what it's worth," he continued, "I've never been more proud to work on this show. You showed a lot of class today. More than she deserved, honestly." Kelly smiled, a tired but genuine smile. "Thanks. That means a lot. I just hope people understand why I did what I did." "They will," he assured her. "Anyone with half a brain will see that you were completely in the right. You gave her chance after chance to course correct, and she just kept digging herself deeper." Kelly nodded slowly. "I really did try. I wanted it to work. I wanted to hear what she had to say. But you can't have a conversation with someone who only wants to attack you." "Exactly," he agreed. "You did everything right. Don't second guess yourself on this one." After he walked away, Kelly sat there a bit longer, processing everything that had happened. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by a strange mix of emotions. Relief that it was over. Sadness that it had happened at all. Pride that she had handled it well. And underneath it all, a quiet determination to never let anyone make her feel less than she was. She thought about what Meghan had said, the accusations about being fake, about her career being calculated. They stung because they were so far from the truth. Kelly had built her career on authenticity, on being herself, on connecting with people in real ways. The suggestion that it was all an act felt like a fundamental misunderstanding of who she was. But then she reminded herself of what she'd told the audience. You can't control how other people perceive you. You can only control your own actions, your own choices, your own integrity. And she knew, deep down, that she had integrity. She knew who she was, And no amount of hostile accusations from a guest on her show could change that. Finally, Kelly stood up and headed to her dressing room. Tomorrow would be another show, another guest, another opportunity to do what she loved. This one difficult afternoon wouldn't define her career or her show. It was just a moment, a strange and uncomfortable moment, but still just a moment. And she had gotten through it with her values intact. The show would go on. It always did. And Kelly would continue to be exactly who she had always been. Kind, genuine, professional, and unwilling to be disrespected in her own house. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to accept poor treatment. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to say, enough is enough. And sometimes standing up for yourself is the most authentic thing you can possibly do.